Good morning, everyone, and welcome into Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and boy, do we have some football to talk about today. Today, we're doing a little bit of a news and updates episode, just going through, finding some interesting articles and tidbits from interviews and other stuff going around the league. So go ahead, take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right. Welcome in, everyone. Glad to see you all this morning on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, the podcast feed, wherever you're tuning in and listening. We appreciate you. Good morning to you, Terminal Sarcasm, and Mr. Doomy Nick Sludge Ryan. Hope y'all are having a good morning as well, Bach. Just good to see you all. Just good to see you all. Again, we know this. Love Wake and Take. Love spending my mornings with you guys. We've got some news to break down. And we'll start with just updating ourselves on the Brandon Aiyuk situation, as we not necessarily are having updates on it, but the San Francisco 49ers have started mandatory minicamps. So we know he was sitting out for OTAs. There's not really much you can do about that. He's not, that's voluntary. You don't have to be there. But he is now also skipping out on the mandatory minicamps as he continues to try to negotiate a bigger contract with the San Francisco 49ers. As we know, he is currently on a fifth-year option right now, which is just not enough for what he feels is worth. I believe it's around $17 million, which is a ton of money. But for these top-end wide receivers in the league, especially after the Justin Jefferson, Nico Collins, Jalen Waddle paydays, that's just a lot of money that is probably being left on the table for Brandon Aiyuk. He feels he deserves more. He had over 1,300 receiving yards last season, a big part of the 49ers offense, and he doesn't think he's getting paid the right amount. And this is probably fair. It's reasonable, right? My take, again, just to kind of reiterate my point and take on this, is both Brandon Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel are under contract right now. As mentioned, Brandon Aiyuk is on his fifth-year option. He has not signed it, which is something to talk about yet, but you eventually kind of have to. But then also, Deebo Samuel is under contract at least through the 2025 season. Now, there is a possibility that, they could trade both of these players. I think the 49ers want to keep both. John Lynch has come out and said that he wants to keep both, and that is the plan, to have both. Again, they're already under contract, right? And they are in this Super Bowl window here where, to me, I still think that they're going to keep the band together this season and look to move someone next year. And that is probably going to be Deebo Samuel heading into 2025. But if someone is to be moved this year, it's not going to be Deebo Samuel. They are not moving on from Deebo Samuel this season. If they are to move on from wide receiver this season, it would be Brandon Aiyuk. Again, he's younger, isn't present here, and hasn't actually signed his fifth-year option. And, of course, because of that, doesn't have a long-term contract, making him a tradable asset, because then the NFL team that he's being traded to could work out the contract with him. So that's just something to note, right? If something's going to happen this season, it probably would be Brandon Aiyuk. But I still find myself in the camp that the 49ers want to keep the band together for this season as they're in this Super Bowl window. And the wide receiver help that they brought in to either replace Aiyuk or Deebo Samuel is young and unpolished in Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing. I know there's a lot of Ricky Pearsall believers out there. I'm not necessarily one of them. I think he's pretty good, but I don't really see a massive ceiling for that player. I just see, a good wide receiver. Nothing wrong with being a good wide receiver, but I don't see a great wide receiver like some are suggesting. And so anyway, go ahead, maybe pick up Jacob Cowing if he's available. But for the most part, I would just be expecting most of this to stay the same. I'm not expecting much value growth for any of the San Francisco 49ers weapons. I think that eventually Brandon Aiyuk is going to show up and play and get some sort of contract with the Niners or just sign that fifth-year option. Here's the big thing. Some of you may be saying, well, aren't there fines if you don't show up to mandatory minicamp? That's true. But what did we see last year? This same situation with a bunch of players. And what did we see happen? NFL teams, once they finally signed their contract or whatever they were negotiating for, waived the fines. And that is especially the case for people under their first contract, their rookie contract. Here's what the NFL says. Unlike veterans on their second contract, players on their rookie fifth-year option like Aiyuk could ultimately have their fines waived by the club, as the 49ers did last season with Nick Bosa. So, yes, there's fines, but since he's technically on his rookie contract still, there's not really fines. They're going to get waived. It's not a big deal. So don't really put that into any of your analysis here when it comes to Brandon Aiyuk or when it comes to CeeDee Lamb, who is also sitting out right now. Same thing. These wide receivers are both on their rookie contracts. Both of them are subject to fines right now for skipping mandatory minicamps. However, because they're on their rookie contract, the NFL teams have the option to waive those fines, which they will do. A player's not going to sign a contract without those fines being waived. So it's a non-issue when it comes to the fines for both CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Aiyuk. For other players that are sitting out, which I actually am not sure if there are really any other ones. I don't think there are any other ones. Then yes, it becomes a big deal if they're playing on their second contract. But CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Aiyuk are not. They're on the rookie contracts, not a big deal. I say with CeeDee Lamb in particular, especially not a big deal. Everyone raise your hand if you think CeeDee Lamb will play for another team. Raise your hand. I can't see you. But I imagine not a single one of you have raised your hand. I'm not raising my hand. CeeDee Lamb's going to be a Cowboy. They have no good wide receivers in that room besides Ryan Flournoy. So they want him. Secondly, they're not going to let him walk. He's going to be a Cowboy. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's just going to take some time as they negotiate this contract. And plus, like I said with the Jamar Chase take earlier this week or on Trade Gods, I don't give a damn if CeeDee Lamb isn't out there at these training camps. Same with Jamar Chase. You don't have to practice if you're that type of player. As long as you're staying in football shape, that's all I care about. I'm sure CeeDee Lamb is still working out and everything, just not doing the team drills, but that doesn't matter for the caliber of player that CeeDee Lamb is, that Jamar Chase is. It's not a big deal. I don't care. CeeDee Lamb's going to be a Cowboy, so if there's for some reason, not that this is probably, you're not really going to find this in any of your dynasty leagues. But if this is the case, if there is a CeeDee Lamb manager in your league that is perhaps a bit timid about him sitting out, trying to work out this contract situation, then you can swoop in and buy him. He's going to be a Cowboy. I doubt that there's anyone right now, worried about CeeDee Lamb, but if they are, that's what you could do. But that is why, again, we bounce back to Brandon Aiyuk as, he does have the ability to be moved. The 49ers would miss him, but not like the Cowboys would miss CeeDee Lamb. So again, I just say, if anyone's going to get moved this season from the 49ers, it would probably be Brandon Aiyuk. I don't think it'll happen. I think that they would like to keep the band together, but a lot of the stars are aligning for a Brandon Aiyuk move. Again, young, productive, no long-term contract, a team that is pretty loaded in the receiving weapons room from Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, and Logan Thomas for some reason, as he's expected to sign with the San Francisco 49ers. Amidst all these contract negotiations with Brandon Aiyuk, the 49ers continue to spend money. The contract information is not out yet for Logan Thomas, as far as I'm aware. But, we're not expecting much from him either. We'll keep this short. If you have George Kittle, you can probably pick up Logan Thomas in a 2 tight end or just a tight end premium league if it's a little deeper. George Kittle hasn't necessarily stayed healthy his entire career. He usually misses a game. And Logan Thomas could come in and have a decent performance there. We saw last year from him in his 16 games. He finished the year with 79 targets, brought in 55 of them for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns. Not bad. Not bad. He's a backup tight end, though. He's older, up there in age. But, it's a good offense. And if anything happens to George Kittle, Logan Thomas would definitely go in and probably be fairly productive on this team. So it's not an exciting signing. I'm not recommending anyone draft Logan Thomas. But, in some of these deeper tight end premium leagues or 2 tight end leagues, why not? Why not? It's not going to be Cameron Latu. It's going to be Logan Thomas. So it's fine. Not the most exciting signing in the world, but it does make some sense. The next bit on the 49ers, as mentioned, they keep spending money. Without spending money on Aiyuk, they have extended Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey has now reset the market again for the running backs, and it's still just so sad. Christian McCaffrey has signed a 2-year extension worth $19 million per year. He was already sitting atop the running back market, making $16 million a year. He was set to earn $11.8 million this season and $12 million in 2025. Now he's set to earn $62 million over the next 4 seasons with an average of 15.5 per season. 24 of that is guaranteed. 16 will come in 24 and another 16 in 25. So Christian McCaffrey, pretty big deal for him. It's kind of sad that running backs don't make that much money. let me rephrase that. It's pretty sad that running backs don't make that much money compared to wide receivers and quarterbacks, especially one the caliber of Christian McCaffrey. I mean, like, $19 million a year, that's Christian Kirk money. And Christian McCaffrey means so much more to the 49ers than Christian Kirk does for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's very interesting. I don't necessarily think it's ever going to change. The fact that a player of Christian McCaffrey's caliber can only make this much, imagine only making $19 million. That I couldn't imagine. That would just be, I would be distraught. Couldn't imagine. But either way, good for the 49ers. And I'm sure Aiyuk is sitting there like, what's going on? Where's my money? And perhaps, just kind of straining that relationship even more. So again, I just say, keep your eyes on this 49ers situation. It is getting interesting for sure. Does this make Christian McCaffrey a buy candidate, even though he's 27 going on 28? No, I don't think so. Yes and no, I guess is how I should phrase it. I'm not going out and trading for Christian McCaffrey. I'm just not doing it. I'm not the type of dynasty player that goes and pays up for these elite assets because it really does kind of crush your team build. Getting a Christian McCaffrey is just going to take too much. Everyone that rosters him does not want to get rid of him. And for his age and, his injury history, I don't want to pay how much it costs to get Christian McCaffrey. I just don't want to do it. However, if I'm in a startup or whatever and it's the right value, I'll press the draft Christian McCaffrey button. But I don't generally in trading for these elite assets, you have to lose the trade and honestly buy a decent margin for a player of the Christian McCaffrey caliber. So I would probably just not, sure. If you can get him for the right price, but that's not going to be the case with Christian McCaffrey. Wallbang says only if you're win now, but even then, this is a hot take. I think if you're a win now team and you trade for Christian McCaffrey, you are probably not a win now team anymore. That's what I'm going to say. I think that probably, what you have to give up to Christian McCaffrey more than likely takes you out of that win now window, unless you're only giving up future draft capital. But I would assume you have to trade away a Devon Achane or a Puka Nacua plus to get a player like Christian McCaffrey. And I just don't want to do it. I'm not that type of player. Box says, damn you, I needed one more day of Flournoy silence for waivers tomorrow. It's all my fault. I'm sorry. I'm sure that no one else is picking him up, but we did post a TikTok today on Ryan Flournoy. I recorded a video, so who knows? Maybe the TikTok streets will get on Ryan Flournoy if it goes viral. Probably not. I doubt that a Ryan Flournoy clip goes viral, but it was fun to make. Anyway, that is the Christian McCaffrey 49ers CeeDee Lamb news. We have a ton of money going around, but before we move on to more money, I do just, while we're on the Christian McCaffrey topic, want to talk about Bijan Robinson, who had a very interesting quote at camp. So I'm going to be more of a runner that does everything else. I don't know what the plan is, but it's runner first, like I did in college, and then still having access to go to the receivers, having the access to do creative things out of the backfield, more so how they use Christian down in San Francisco. Something like that. That's what the plan is here. And so that's awesome. Essentially, Bijan Robinson is saying that the Falcons are planning to use him like Christian McCaffrey. I think that's awesome. I think if that's the case, which is probably what we kind of all expected, right? Then Bijan Robinson is in for a huge season. That's not a surprise. We've all been saying it. We're expecting a huge season for Bijan Robinson, not only because Kirk Cousins is there, but the offensive line, is still there. And we're having a really good offensive system come in, at least expectedly. Like we're projecting a really good offensive system. This is the Rams system, the McVay system that, of course, had the Todd Gurley success. We just had Kyron Williams have success. Even Cam Akers had some success here. So Bijan Robinson in for a big season, and it's easy to see where he could handle the Christian McCaffrey workload. As if you saw on Player Profiler's Twitter last night, our stat of the day kind of compared some stats between the two, and both Bijan Robinson and Christian McCaffrey were top 5 in target share, routes run, route participation, receiving yards, and yards created, showing that these are receiving backs with explosive capabilities. The difference, of course, being that last year, Bijan Robinson only had a 52% opportunity share, whereas Christian McCaffrey's opportunity share was up at 76%. So we're talking about almost a 25% increase in opportunities for Bijan Robinson if he gets that Christian McCaffrey usage. That is a ton more points for him. I again say get Bijan Robinson everywhere you can, while you can. And in redraft and best ball, Yes, Bijan Robinson is my RB1 over Christian McCaffrey. I'm not drafting Bijan Robinson over Christian McCaffrey, but I am targeting Bijan Robinson and hoping he falls to me just because of how ADP works. In fact, I hate having the 101. I hate it very much. You kind of have to press the Christian McCaffrey button, and I don't like doing that. I don't like pressing the Christian McCaffrey button. I'd rather get the value on a Bijan, on a Jahmyr Gibbs, on a Breece Hall, and maybe even arguably a Saquon Barkley. But either way, Bijan Robinson looking for an uptick in volume this season, looking like he will finally get that true focal point that we did not get with Arthur Smith. So let's go Bijan. And guys, before we move on, I want to do a little bit of an ad break here. Let's find out some more information about Underdog.
This episode is made possible by Underdog Fantasy, and Underdog Fantasy is the leader in best ball. When you go to join an Underdog Fantasy best ball draft, it fills very quickly. Especially now, it's Best Ball Mania season, baby! Best Ball Mania 5! I can't believe they're at Best Ball Mania 5 already. $15 million in prizes. They're giving out $15 million with $1.5 million to first. Playing in best ball leagues makes you better. It helps train you on player value and strategy. And Underdog offers a lot more than just best ball contests. They offer pick'ems. My new favorite, the golf pick'ems. But they have the NBA pick'ems, baseball pick'ems going on throughout the offseason. Hit the pick'ems, back to best ball, hit the pick'ems. So use promo code Underworld. Promo code Underworld gets you a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. So they've increased the maximum deposit bonus. It was $100. Now it's up to $125. When you get the Underdog app, use promo code Underworld and go draft your ass off.
Go drafted. They added a super flex puppy this week, guys. A super flex puppy. I've been going crazy with that. I've already done 3 of them. I would like to do more. Maybe we'll do one on Wake and Take. I don't know. It seems the Underdog drafts don't do well on terms of YouTube. Don't know why, but either way, kind of fun to do. So we'll see. Anyway, back to the news. And as mentioned before, we're going to talk some contract stuff. Lots of money going around, starting, of course, with Justin Jefferson reaching his payday. We already talked about this a lot, making a ton of money, but he has been interviewed about it now. So I kind of just wanted to talk about what he said on top of some other stuff that he talked about with the Vikings. So this is what he said about the contract. Just being the highest paid comes with being a leader. I've always said, and I've always preached it, the money was never a big thing for me. It was mostly just solidifying myself as the top receiver in the league. Of course, I want to be holding that gold jacket when my career is all over. It's going to happen. The contract talks are going to happen when you're performing at this type of level. But like I said, plenty of times, there's more to it than just the money. I want to be the best player to ever do that. And in order to do that, I've got to keep performing at my highest ability. With that, money is going to be involved, but that wasn't my main concern. I feel like just with last year, with all the things that happened, all the quarterback changes, that didn't really affect me that much. It really didn't matter who was going to throw me the ball. I'm always confident in myself and confident in who was throwing the ball to give me those types of opportunities and let me just go make a play for the team. I talked to JJ McCarthy as soon as he got drafted. I told him confidence is key. Just coming into this league with confidence and being able to have that leadership right off the bat being a rookie. There's going to be people to come in and help, of course. I'm going to be that main person in his ear to try to teach him and prepare him for what we're about to go through. I've told him that this league is tough. It's not an easy job to come out there and perform at the highest ability, especially as a rookie. But I'll definitely be the main person that he can lean on and help throughout the way. So, Justin Jefferson says he's not really concerned about the money. We'll see, right? I'm sure he was. But really the big thing that I wanted to take away here is just the fact that he is very much taking on the mentor role for JJ McCarthy. The JJ to JJ connection is building slowly but surely. That's just good to hear. Like, I know Justin Jefferson's not a quarterback, but still he's a veteran presence, a star on this team, and knows a lot about how the league works. Being able to let his quarterback lean on him is great news. And it's awesome that he kind of has his back. It seems that their communication is very much open. I'm sure they're hanging out and all of this fun stuff. And I'm sure JJ McCarthy, the type of person he is just trying to learn as much as he can from Justin Jefferson. So just good to hear. Obviously not much of a takeaway there, but just good to hear. And some extra confidence to go the JJ McCarthy way. The fact that Justin Jefferson has his back, which of course, I mean, you're gonna, but still. Anyway, the next bit of money is somebody, as Justin Jefferson says, he's not concerned about money. Maybe Tua Tagovailoa is. This was the weirdest interview I've ever read. There's a video of the end of it that I'll play too, just because it was just weird. Tua is weird. But either way, This is the NFL article. Pretty funny. Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa was caught without his thesaurus on Tuesday. He could have used one when asked about the state of his contract negotiations. Tua said, not frustrated. I'm another word, but yeah. Annoyed wasn't the right word, neither was bothered. I just want to get something done, he said after pausing and laughing. That's it, just want to get something done. Even the word concern didn't quite hit Tagovailoa's feelings on the head. I'm not concerned, he said when asked if that described his current mood. Concerned is not the right word. That's way off from the word. Eventually, he settled on how best to describe how he felt in his contract negotiations. He said, probably antsy. I wouldn't say pissed off. This is the nature of the beast, right? This is just how it goes. I think that there's been a lot of progress at this point from where we started. There's been a lot of progress. Then you could, of course, ask the question, why aren't we seeing an agreement? Well, that's the tough part about it. That's why it's business. That's why you've got one side and the other trying to meet in the middle. Currently is on the 5th-year option worth $23 million. That's less than Geno Smith. That's less than Daniel Jones. He should be making at least $40 million a year, I would assume. You know, that's about what Daniel Jones makes. That's pretty much the quarterback money right now. So that's probably what he's looking for. It is weird, you know, that the Dolphins are just not paying him. You know, I do find that a little strange, especially kind of going back to last season where they didn't seem quite sold on Tua Tagovailoa as their franchise quarterback. And then, of course, to go and pay Jalen Waddle. There's the talks that Tyreek Hill is trying to negotiate a new contract as well. Like, you would just think that the Dolphins would try to pay Tua if they cared about keeping this thing together. But, you know, also as a front office, you probably want to do the cheapest option. And the fact, of course, that it remains that he is on the 5th-year option and they can totally use that if they want to. And that's just where he's at. He doesn't want to play under it. He wants the extra money. It's just weird that he doesn't know words. Like, here, listen how he sounds. He just sounded so annoyed about this thing, which makes me think, like, he says he's not concerned about the money, but then how he sounds in this interview makes me think he is concerned about the money. So I don't know what it is. But check this out.
I'm not concerned about it, but there's a lot of discussions, you know, that we've had that, you know, we just are trying to move that thing into the right direction where we can both be happy.
Are you involved in it personally? Does your agent update you like every time there are talks?
Well, my agent updates me, but for me, I don't like updates like every time. Like, you don't got to tell me the little things. Just tell me things that matter. Are we getting to where we want to, or are we not? That's it.
Did you think there'd be more progress at this point?
Well, I think there's been a lot of progress at this point. From where we started, there's been a lot of progress. Now, you know, you can ask the other question, then why aren't we seeing, you know, an agreement? Well, that's the tough part about it. That's why it's business. That's why you got one side and the other trying to work to meet in the middle.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just I don't want to read too much into it, but it's just off to me. This whole situation is just off to me. I don't have a thesaurus on me, much like Tua Tagovailoa did in this situation. I don't know how to put it other than just off, because, you know, you would just assume, right? With even Daniel Jones getting a contract so quickly, right? Like, he had one good season and the Giants were like, yep, that's our guy. And a ton of teams are doing that. Of course, Derek Carr getting the money, Baker Mayfield getting the money, and it's just so strange that Tua is just not. Now, of course, we do, have these precedents with quarterbacks, just that teams don't want to spend all that money right away. It's taken some time for Justin Herbert. It's taken some time for Joe Burrow. So it makes sense that it's going to take some time, but this situation in particular has just always been weird. Going back to last offseason, of course, after all the concussions, him having to learn the martial arts to fall better, having to put on the extra weight so it's not all going to the head and stuff. As the comments are pointing out, I mean, he's one hit away from CTE. I don't know. So it seems that the Dolphins might just still be a little concerned about Tua's health. And Tua seems maybe perhaps a bit annoyed about that, or whatever else is being negotiated with. Either way, it seems that these two sides are not close, which is just interesting to me. I'm just going to leave it at that. I find it interesting that the potential franchise quarterback and a team that needs a franchise quarterback are not close. Like, you would think, right? You would think that they would be close. Which then, of course, leads you, is Tua Tagovailoa, think he's too valuable? Like, is he looking for 50, 60 million? or the Dolphins just not that sold on Tua. So either way, very interesting. Very interesting. And perhaps why Tua is still pretty cheap in Dynasty. I would say I still think it's fine to buy Tua, to be completely honest with you. He is still throwing the ball to Jalen Waddle, still throwing the ball to Tyreek Hill, still has the great backfield, good head coach. And Malik Washington, I like too. Not a bad sleeper right there, Malik Washington. And Tua Tagovailoa, I believe, on Keep Trade Cut is right around quarterback 15. So in Superflex, that's not a bad price for a young quarterback with those weapons. Let me double check that price tag for you. Superflex Dynasty rankings over at Keep Trade Cut. Tua Tagovailoa is quarterback 16. So yeah, you can trade Dak Prescott for Tua even, which I would 100% do. We've talked enough about selling Dak Prescott on this show. But either way, just odd, strange, weird, however you want to put it, off is how I'm going to put it. Definitely interesting what's going on with Tua. And another quarterback that is looking for some money is Jordan Love. But that's a poor way to put it because Jordan Love isn't looking for money. In fact, the Packers are looking to give Jordan Love money, which is just awesome. So again, we talk about the situation here with Tua Tagovailoa just being weird, like the Dolphins just not seemingly committed to Tua. That is not the case for the Packers. The Packers love what they saw from Jordan Love. They are ready to pay him. This is what Jordan Love said. We're in those conversations right now. The nice part about this is none of these things are always easy or fast, but both parties want the same thing. We'd like to get this done before training camp. Both parties want to get a contract extension done. Stability at the position allows you to have some security with the way. Oh, sorry, this is not Jordan Love who said this. This is a Packers personnel person. Stability at that position really allows you to have some security the way we build our team. We're looking forward to get it done, but it never goes fast. And the big thing here is, and Tua is there as well. He's performing at the OTAs as well. But Jordan Love is participating in the voluntary workouts, which is just awesome. We love seeing that. We love hearing that. Jordan Love just totally present. Incredible stuff from Jordan Love. The Packers want to get him paid. Jordan Love probably wants to get paid, although, it doesn't really seem like he cares too much. It seems he's happy to be out there and just play some football, which we just love that. We just love that. We love humble kings. We do. It's important stuff to just be humble. And speaking of being humble, so is Devontae Smith. As he was asked, hey, Devontae, you signed a big contract extension this year. But now, a bunch of wide receivers have also signed their contract extension. And now yours looks piss poor compared to theirs. What did Devontae say? Nah, man, no, you can't be counting the pockets of others. I'm where I want to be. This is where I wanted to be. And at the end of the day, it was still life-changing for me. Those guys who got their deals, they deserve it. Great players and great people. At the end of the day, we are all blessed. I love Devontae Smith already. You can go to PlayerProfiler.com, go to the staff section, and see he's one of my guys. I've loved the Slim Reaper forever. A great dude. Listen to that quote. Seriously. It was still life-changing for me. Those guys deserve it. We're all blessed. Just incredible. And he's right. We talk about it all the time here. Why the hell are NFL players so worried about making $12 million versus $11 million? Just sign the damn contract. You're a millionaire, dude. It's not that big of a deal. Just be happy. You get to play football for a living. Come on. So anyway, Devontae Smith, great dude. Glad he's not counting the pocket of others. He's still the 8th highest paid wide receiver in the league. So it's just funny that he was even that a reporter was like, you don't even make $25 million per year. What do you think? And he was like, I don't care, dude. I'm making over $20 million a year. I've been to the Super Bowl. Whatever, man. But I just love hearing that from Devontae Smith again. We love a humble king. It's awesome. It's great stuff. And lastly on this, as NFL.com pointed out in their article, the deal for Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown underscores how smart the Eagles front office is. They notice and know that the longer you wait, the more expensive these contracts get. So again, I just say to the Dolphins, what are you doing with Tua? Just sign him if you believe in him. So anyway, that is all I have for you guys on terms of contracts. We have a few bit more news coming out right now with Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks right now. What are we talking about here with Treylon Burks? It is not good. Not good. Not good at all. As last week, we kind of heard a little bit of hype bubbling about Treylon Burks, how they're excited to use him. Of course, he's the wide receiver 4, which is, again, why I say buy Tyler Boyd. Just so cheap. Go get him. Whatever. But Either way here, Treylon Burks is looking like he's going to be a special teamer, even as a wide receiver 4 on a pass-happy offense. To make that active roster, you're definitely going to have to be a special teamer, says new head coach Brian Callahan. This is what was said specifically. And I'll start with the article, because the article, there's some creative writers out in the world. When first-year Tennessee Titans head coach Brian Callahan said earlier this offseason that Treylon Burks was going to play everything, he wasn't kidding. Brian Callahan said Tuesday he's going to have to contribute after he got reps as a gunner. You know, you only get so many hats on game day, and if he's one of those guys on game day, we're going to have to find a place for him. Guys like him should be great special teams player on top of it just because of his size and speed. And so the gunner thing is something I think he's very capable of doing, and there might be some more roles for him in the other phases as well. Anytime you're not the full-time starter, you're going to have to contribute somewhere on game day. And I think Trey's attitude and approach to special teams has been fantastic. And so I'm excited to see what he can do for them. I think he's an asset on special teams. He went on to say, yeah, you have to. If you're not one of the top 2 or 3 guys, you're just going to have to contribute on special teams. And he's a guy in that mold that if you're trying to get a hat on game day and be one of the actives, you've got to play a role on special teams, especially as a skill player. So there's 2 ways to look at this, right? A, of course, Treylon Burks totally collapsed in terms of his value at the bottom of the barrel right now. He has to scrape and scrape and scrape to get by and fight for this active roster spot on the Tennessee Titans. However, while that is bad news, the other side of it is that he is scraping and clawing and doing whatever he can to get that active roster spot. So I'm going to keep my take on Treylon Burks how I've had it. I don't expect much this season, but I'm going to be patient with him. I see a lot of people saying that this is a make or break year for Treylon Burks. I'm going to give him 1 extra year. I know that we look for the year 3 breakout with wide receiver, but I'm going to give him 4 years. I'm going to give him next season 1 more chance because his situation has not been fantastic. Mike Vrabel, I think, especially since he hasn't gotten a follow-up job, there is something there. And I am starting to believe that it is likely he is not a good player developer, at least on the offensive side of the ball. Because if you look at it, it seems that Arthur Smith was the one getting the offense going. And secondly, it heavily relied on Derrick Henry, who is a player you don't have to develop at all. You could just revolve your offense around him. And no one really on the Titans developed Chigakonkwo, Treylon Burks, right? Like anyone they've had. They traded away A.J. Brown because he never really developed totally in Tennessee, didn't turn into A.J. Brown until he got to Philadelphia. So I think those 2 years with Vrabel and then, of course, trading for D-Hop and setting Treylon Burks even further down the depth chart, I think that hurt him, especially with the poor quarterback play and the changing with coaches. And so I think that this year is going to be a huge learning season for Treylon Burks. He's 4th. And the beauty is he's 4th behind some awesome vets. He's behind Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyler Boyd. All 3 of those guys have so much knowledge that they can give Burks. And so while there might not be anything this season unless an injury happens, if he really does make it onto special teams, fight and claw for that active roster spot, perform well as a gunner, and then he'll be out there, right? Like the Titans are going to run 4 wide receiver sets, guys. Let's be honest here. They're going to do it. This is a pass-happy offense. So there will be times where Treylon Burks is on the field too. And then if there's an injury, he's the wide receiver 3. And so I think he's okay holding on to. I'm not giving up on Burks quite yet. We were very much in on him. He's probably a bust, but I'm going to exercise patience here. It seems, combining the Mike Vrabel factor along with the situation that has just been going on in Tennessee in general, I think it's reasonable. I think it's fair to just pause a little bit on Treylon Burks and just see what could happen maybe next season. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at. That's just kind of where I'm at. I see this as a positive for him, as much of a negative as it is. Just the work ethic, the ability to learn, and all of this stuff. I think it's fine. Like, I think it's fine. Of course, it's bad for this season. Like, don't get me wrong here. But it's interesting enough. But you guys are pointing out a lot of stuff in the chat. Looks more like a used car salesman. Does he look more like a cousin who comes over to watch football than a lightning quick wide? Well, he's not lightning quick. He's strong. He's just a big dude, big yak guy, if I remember correctly, breaking tackles and stuff. So anyway, we'll see. I'm not excited for it, but I don't want to give up on him yet. I think that might be a little dangerous. I think that he still has a potential not to be a wide receiver one, don't get me wrong, but I think he could be a role player. Like, I think he could probably be a solid flex for us if he gets these things going. Because let's talk about it here again. Calvin Ridley's old. DeAndre Hopkins and Tyler Boyd, both of their contracts expire at the end of this season. So then, I mean, we're talking about Treylon Burks is going to be the wide receiver 2 next year for the Titans if all things, pan out the same. So I'll leave y'all with that. Something to think about. And the last bit of stuff to think about here is Stephon Diggs on the Houston Texans. This is hard to figure out, right? Nico Collins getting the bag, right? Tank Dell returning, right? What's going to happen here? What is going to happen here? Well, it seems like some good stuff. This is what 2 people have said some things about Stephon Diggs. First is D'Amico Ryans. What I've seen is a guy who I thought we would get. A guy who's made plays, and every time we've thrown him the ball, he's come down with it. A sure-handed guy, a really good teammate, and a great energy around the building and in the locker room with the guys. I'm excited to continue to see his growth. Awesome. CJ Stroud, what did he say of Stephon Diggs? CJ Stroud said he's been fitting in great. He's come in with his head down and just working. He's helping me out a lot. He's come in and been a leader, which I'm proud of him for. He's really been unselfish and wanted to see other guys eat. That was his main thing. He wanted to be around other dogs. He stepped into that role where there's a dog everywhere. He wanted that, and that's what we bring to the table. So again, I say all 3 of these wide receivers on the Texans, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, all 3 are going to be productive this season. It might be, flipping weeks and all that stuff. So again, I say bye CJ Stroud, but I really think that they're all probably at least going to average like 7 points at worst, with some really high ceilings for all 3 guys. Again, Tank Dell only had a 20% target share last year. Nico Collins only had a 22% target share. So even with Stephon Diggs, like 30% target share, that's still only 72% of the Houston Texans targets, which still, of course, leads 28% for like Dalton Schultz, Noah Brown, Joe Mixon, which is just perfect. It sounds like all 3, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell could get exactly what they need to be successful on this offense. So I am buying all 3. And it's just good to hear that Stephon Diggs maybe has lost a little bit of his ego and is coming in and just being a hard worker, putting his head down and doing all the right things in Houston. We like that. We like to hear that. So that should be everything for today. Do we have any questions? We'll start on Instagram. No comments on Instagram. To YouTube, Treylon needs a chonky turtleneck. He does. Everyone needs a turtleneck. Everyone needs a turtleneck. Love knows he's going to get paid. Tua wants to get paid. Interesting. Good way to put it. Is it Kenny Yeboah season yet? Not yet. Maybe one day. And then I saw one question at the beginning. Oh, Bijan or Gibbs in Dynasty? Bijan. Easy. I know it's crazy. I know Gibbs is ahead of him right now in Dynasty rankings. It's Bijan Robinson. It's not close. By JT, not CMC. I agree here. Who gets hurt first, George Kittle or Logan Thomas? Probably Logan Thomas. But, maybe Kittle, just because I don't think Logan Thomas is really going to see the field that much, really, to be honest with you. I think he's just kind of going to be sitting there. Lastly, on Instagram, Jamar Chase or Amon-Ra St. Brown? Jamar Chase. Give me Jamar Chase. Especially, he points out it's standard. If it was PPR, I could see it being a little closer, but it's Jamar Chase. It is Jamar Chase. And lastly, it looks like Doomy took Adam Thielen in the Wake and Take Invitational and feels dirty about it. Don't. That's fine. We're in like round, 6 in a 32-teamer? Really, round 8 because of the auctions? Just the fact that you could even get points in these rounds is fine. Whatever. Congratulations on Adam Thielen. That should do it, everyone. That was another fun episode of Wake and Take. We will be back tomorrow, and tomorrow we have a very special guest. We'll have John Lobb joining me. We're going to record it today, so it'll be a tomorrow little premiere episode. I'll be here to answer your questions, so go ahead and still tune in tomorrow. It's going to be a fun episode. We're going to be talking Devy, and we're going to be talking buys and sells and values and all the other trending topics from around the league, as has become custom here on Wake and Take when we have some guests. So it's going to be a fun one. Make sure you tune into that, and make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to Player Profiler before you hit out. You can find the Wake and Take podcast via the link in the description, and you can follow me wherever you get social media at JFootballWine. Everyone, you have a wonderful Wednesday and a fantastic rest of your week. Peace.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.